Hi and welcome to another one of the Tech Geeks videos. This is a performance review on the Ubiquiti Dream Router, the UDR7. Now this device has multiple 2.5 gigabit a second Ethernet ports, and it has a single SFP Plus, which is a 10 gigabit a second port that in this instance we're going to use to connect to the internet. So in our results, we're not going to get anything faster than 2.5 gigabits a second, but we do want to see if this unit can actually achieve that. I also want to see when we have intrusion prevention turned on and content filtering, does it make any performance differences to it, and what speed we can get on Wi-Fi out of the box, and then if we make a couple of changes, can we improve that Wi-Fi? So in our test environment, we have got a iPerf server that can run at over 10 gigabits a second. I have a Windows 11 machine connected to the LAN side of the UDR7. Let me just hop over. I've made no other changes to the device itself. This is just as it is out the box. So if we just hop on over, here's my Windows 11 machine. I've got a ping running out to the internet to show I've got an internet connection, although none of our traffic is going to go out over to the internet. So let's just run our speed test here. We're going to send 20 continuous streams to our test server, and this is going to give us an idea of when we saturate the connection, what speed we can get. And as you can see, we're generally getting about 2.3, just over 2.35, 2.37 gigabits a second. Let's just try that again. And that's probably what I would expect to get on an Ethernet port that does 2.5 gigabits a second. With the overheads, you're not probably going to get that all the way right up to that top speed. So as you can see there, really out the box, no configuration done, then you can see that we can easily get what it says it should do. So let's just quickly hop on over to settings and security. So in security here, we can turn, and it might look different, slightly different, depending on what version you've got on here. I'm going to choose advanced in this option. I'm going to turn this on to high. I think I'm going to turn it actually on to customize. It has been simplified a little bit more in some of the other interfaces. So we're going to turn this on. And we want to then see, it probably takes about 2 minutes or so for this to push through to the actual device itself. So we'll just give that a moment. And then let's just run that speed test again. I want to just see, does it make any difference to this? We can see a slight drop maybe there, but it has then quickly picked itself back up to 2.36. So we'll just run it again one more time just to see. But I don't think we're really actually going to see any performance drop on this at all with intrusion prevention, which is great. That's what I was hoping for. So let's just head on over now quickly here to the network side of things. And in here, we're going to switch this to manual and turn this to family content filtering. Again, we wouldn't expect this to make any changes in our speed at this point in time. So let's head on over to the Windows computer and again, run our speed test. We're not really expecting there to be any performance drop here. Again, you can see 2.3, between 2.3 and 2.9 gigabits a second with the content filtering turned on. So now let's consider what we might want to do in some test for the Wi-Fi. So in our basic setting here, I did set this at test, startup, all in auto. I've created a test wireless network. So let's head on over to my phone and join that network. And we can see out the box what type of speed we are going to get. Okay, so over on my phone, I have joined the speed test Wi-Fi that I've created. And I've just gone over now on to my iPerf, and let's out the box give a speed test of what we're getting. As though we can actually see really, really good performance out the box. Now, sometimes this doesn't happen depending on the unit that you have got. So this is really good. We can see 1.3, 1.4 gigabits a second. If we head on over here to our clients, we can set some extra columns on here to give us an idea of signal strength and to transmit and receive rates. And we can see I'm getting connected at 1.7 gigabits a second. You normally expect to see about half of that as a real world throughput. Now, sometimes out of the box, the units don't perform at this full rate. That's because you have to make sure you have enough channels joined together to get the fastest speed. So if you go to devices here and then head on over to find with your device to the cog, you can see this is at 80. Ideal if you bring this up to 160 and maybe 320 if you've got a device that works in this wireless 7 frequency, or the wireless 6 frequency, or the 6 gigahertz frequency. Let's just update that again. My phone will probably drop off the Wi-Fi as this is applied, but these channels will bring up the actual overall speed that's possible. The thing that you'll find though is that the overall speed will come up, but the distance you can be away from the access point will reduce. So this is really a middle round test, and you will find on some of the wireless access points from Ubiquiti that you get, or depending on which unit you've got, how it's set up, these could be down as low as 40. And when you first get it out of the box, you'll think the performance is actually going really, really poorly. And it's literally because you haven't actually set up the Wi-Fi yet correctly as it should do. So let me just show, join that Wi-Fi. Hopefully it will just be there in a moment because it needed to reset after that change. And I'm not really expecting there to be any particular change in speed. I am pretty close to the device. So let's just start that again. And you can see now my phone's got to redecide the speed that is actually connected to that. So probably going to have to give it a few moments to see what it can actually achieve and come up to a faster speed. And let's just see what it can do again, if it's going to get there. There we go. So it's now been able to find that, and that really that channel frequency probably hasn't made too much difference for where I am and how close I am. And you can see it's fluctuating around quite a lot as well, which is probably because I've pushed these frequencies a little bit higher for this device than I should do. So hopefully you can see by playing with those settings, you're going to get a balance between the performance that you want and the distance. Things like in this 20 megahertz channel, this is going to give you for 2.4 the furthest distance but the slowest speeds. So do play around with those to get the best settings for you if you don't achieve what you can see about the 1.3, 1.4 gigabits a second out of the box. So hopefully that's been useful. We've seen that it can do 2.5 gigabits a second on its LAN Ethernet port with content filtering and intrusion prevention running, and we can see we can get 1.3 to 1.4 gigabits a second without too much work on the Wi-Fi as well. So hopefully that's been useful. Head on over to our YouTube channel. Plenty more box openings, plenty more performance reviews, deep dives, how to configure your Wi-Fi or set up Unified Protect, for example, as well. So head on over there, subscribe, and stay up to date.